Alright, let's take a breath, zoom out, and ask something huge. If reality feels like it's made of patterns, if there's a structure underneath everything from the way emotions work, to how atoms spin, to why math is universal, what exactly is that structure? Today, we're going to explore one of the oldest attempts to map it. A system called the Sefirot, coming from Jewish mysticism, but it reaches far beyond religion. It's been compared to a divine energy grid, a cosmic flowchart, even a kind of spiritual operating system. Now here's the twist. If you've ever read about simulation theory, or thought reality might be running like software, the Sefirot start to sound familiar, because they're not just mystical poetry. They describe information flow, decision trees, feedback loops, things we now model with code and logic. So this isn't just a history lesson. This is a look at a possible ancient user manual for the simulation we're in. The word Sefirot comes from a Hebrew root that means to count, to tell, or to shine. Already, it hints at multiple layers: mathematics, language, light. Three domains modern physics also treats as inseparable. The first mention comes from a short mystical text called the Sefer Yetzirah. It talks about 10 Sefirot of nothingness, and how the universe was shaped by combining these 10 emanations with the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. To be clear, the Sefirot are not gods. They're not spirits or personalities. Think of them more like attributes or filters through which infinite divine energy called Ein Sof, meaning without end, it flows and becomes something we can experience. And if that sounds abstract, try this. Think of Ein Sof as the source code that's never directly accessible. The Sefirot are the compiled functions, the subroutines that let the simulation run. Let's walk through these 10, top to bottom. We start with Keter, the crown. It's not a thought, not an emotion. It's the pure will to create, the unshaped desire. In computing, it's the kernel call, the raw instruction before any code executes. You don't access Keter directly. It's the root node. Unknowable, but necessary. Then you get Chokmah, which means wisdom. Think of this as the first flash of insight, the aha, that appears out of nowhere. It's raw, unformed potential, like a burst of data before it's parsed. Now enter Binah, understanding. Binah receives that flash and processes it. If Chokmah is inspiration, Binah is analysis. She is the compiler. She takes raw input and turns it into structured output. Together, Chokmah and Binah model the duality of input-output, or impulse and design logic. Then we hit the middle tier, Chest, Gevurah, and Tiferet. These are the emotional engines of the system. Chest is loving-kindness, expansion, generosity. It's what happens when divine energy flows freely without limits. Picture it as infinite bandwidth or unrestricted recursion, useful, but also dangerous if unchecked. So you need Gevurah strength or judgment. This is structure, limits, boundaries, firewalls, rate limiting, discipline. Tiferet is beauty, the harmonic balance between the two. Think of it as the algorithm that resolves contradictions between expansion and restraint. It's where logic meets empathy. Lower down, we've got Netzach and Hod. These are the legs of the system, how the flow keeps moving. Netzach is victory or endurance. It's persistence, the push to keep going. You could see it as the loop in code that runs until a condition is met. Hod is splendor, which is humility, reflection, and precision. It's like debug mode. It checks for errors, reflects on output, gives structure to ambition. They both feed into Yesod, the foundation. This is the transmission layer, the bridge. All upper energies funnel through it to reach the final step. And that last step is Malkut, kingship. Malkut is the rendered world. It's what we experience with our senses, the simulation's GUI graphical user interface. She contains nothing of her own, but reflects everything above her. In human terms, Malkuth is presence, receptivity, embodiment. In systems terms, Malkuth is the screen, the dashboard, the field of play. Now, these 10 aren't just listed. They're arranged in a structure called the Tree of Life. If you've seen it, 10 nodes, 22 paths. It looks almost like a circuit diagram. And in fact, it behaves like one. The Tree of Life isn't just symbolic. It maps how energy, intention, and information flow. The paths represent transformations, like functions mapping one domain to another in math. Each node has polarity. There's a left pillar, a right pillar, and a central column. Together, they model logic gates, decision trees, feedback loops, all concepts that show up in both computer science and neural networks. The Sefirot don't just exist in a single plane. They unfold across 4 worlds. Atziluth is pure divine light. Think of it as the pre-render stage. It's the will to simulate. Beriah is creation. That's the architecture, blueprints, laws, logic trees. Yetzirah is formation, how emotions, archetypes, and narrative enter the system. This is middleware. It's where you start seeing content. And Asiya is action, the world we live in. This is the environment we render to, the simulation interface. Each world contains a version of the full Sephirotic structure, nested like recursive functions, Russian dolls, or fractal zooms. Self-similar, layered, efficient. Minutes 38 to 44. The Sefirot as a simulation model. Let's connect this to simulation theory more directly. If the universe is simulated, it must follow a set of protocols that govern how inputs become outputs. The Sefirot offer exactly that kind of model. Keter equals intention to simulate Chokmah equals raw pattern potential. Binah equals encoded logic. Chest equals expansive rendering. Gevura equals system limits. Tiferet equals runtime balance. Netzach equals progression algorithm. Hod equals integrity check. Yesod equals final push. Malkuth equals displayed experience. Every decision, every shift in mood, every unfolding situation can be modeled as composite Sephirotic flows. They form the rule set, and your consciousness is the player interface. Now, here's where it gets practical. In the traditional Kabbalistic view, we're not just here to receive reality. We're here to co-author it. Human beings, through awareness and intentionality, can align with the Sefirot. You can think of this as learning the native code of the simulation. When you act with compassion, you're channeling Chest. When you show restraint, you're invoking Gevura. When you pause to reflect instead of react, you're in Hod. Aligning with these forces doesn't just make you a good person. According to this model, it optimizes the entire simulation. It repairs distortions. Kabbalists call this Tikkun cosmic repair. In Lurianic Kabbalah, there's even a crash event in the simulation, the breaking of the vessels. The divine light was too strong. The system overloaded, and divine sparks got trapped in physical matter. Your job? Find them. Free them. Upgrade the system through your actions. So where does this all leave us? Whether you see the Sefirot as divine truths, psychological metaphors, or early code theory, the model works. It's modular, recursive, interactive, and ethically aware. That's not religion. That's architecture. In a world increasingly asking whether we're in a simulation, maybe we should also ask if we are in one. What does it want from us? Maybe the answer has always been the same. Harmonize will with wisdom, structure with love, ambition with humility. Use every layer of your consciousness, not just to play the game, but to help upgrade the code from within. Because maybe this whole thing isn't just a test. Maybe it's a project. And you're part of the dev team. Thank you for listening to We Are All Code. Please like and subscribe if this meant anything to you. Take care. Bye-bye.